my name is Casey Ouellette, and this is my Capstone Project. I focused on improving water quality in the Red Cedar watershed, mostly on this little lake here. This is Lake Desair, just outside of Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and I chose this lake for a few reasons. One is my mentor, Dr. Rod Olson, has been caring for this lake for 20 or more years, and has been slowly improving its health and finding methods that work on improving health of water. So again, my name is Casey Ouellette. I'm actually 24 years old now. I've been at UW-Barron for 5 years, got my associate's degree, and this December I will have my bachelor's degree. My background with water quality is going on almost 4 years now, somewhere in the mid-threes. My internship, my Capstone Project, and a few other projects have focused around this point of water quality. I've done work in and out of school for it. I help Rod on occasion to cater to some of his projects that he has going on. So, sort of instilled in me now. Quick tidbit about me. I just finished up a summer job with the Wisconsin DNR at the Governor Thompson Fish Hatchery in Spooner, Wisconsin, also known as the Spooner Fish Hatchery, and it kind of gave me some more insight into what governmental agencies do for water quality and things like that. So it's kind of an eye-opener. It's a good entry-level position. So I'm focusing mostly on runoff pollution, and the biggest problem with that is usually nutrient pollution. So runoff pollution can be from paved surface, so like a parking lot, all the debris, the sand, the garbage. It gets deposited in the lake through the storm drains. And then you look at farm fields, agriculture. Water runs to the lowest point, ends up in a little puddle, a stream, a creek, a river, eventually into a bigger body of water like a lake. Now, the sediment, the soil that water is carrying with it, has all of this nutrients, all these nutrients in it. So you think farm fertilizer, phosphorus, nitrogen, all of that. What actually helps algae grow. Now the algae does a few bad things. It takes all the oxygen out of the water, so all the fish die. Other species can't live there, including plants. So the lake kind of becomes a swamp or like this stagnant puddle. And then secondly, they're actually toxic. They create a toxic gas. It's bad for humans, dogs, causes skin irritation, can lead to liver failure, trouble breathing, things like that. It's been a problem here. It's been reported. Now this algae can actually spread. So that pictures of Tainter Lake. It's at the bottom of the watershed. Now, all of the watershed above it, the nutrients travel downwards and end up pooling up there, which is why it's so bad. But that can spread. Every year as it gets worse, the algae bloom grows further and further upstream. And an example I used and found was Lake Michigan had algal blooms that they found that originated in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So they do travel, and it is a big issue. That's an overview of the lake I am currently working on. That's Lake Desair. I work in that wooded area for most of my projects, all of them for my Capstone project, but most of my projects end up there. There's a lot of land, surrounding farmland to cover, do projects for. There's a lot of little dry runs in there, creeks that lead into the lake. That field and that house is actually my mentor's house, and it makes a lot of sense. All my projects are there. Everything's pretty easy, goes over nicely. So the first project we focused on was in this little almost 30-acre chunk. It is a field with a little strip of woods around it, and it all drains into a little inlet that goes into the lake, where that arrow points. Now to the right of that arrow and kind of up, there's a little circle bald patch. That's that field by Rod's house, my mentor's house. So you can see how close it is. A lot of water travels through 30 acres. You wouldn't think it. We're going to go into more detail. You can see exactly how much happens here. So we built a spillway. So first, at the edge of the field where the water starts to drop down into the woods, we leveled it off, and on the hillside, we built a berm and channeled all the water into one area. Next, we kind of dug a trench and we filled it in with rock, and we used rock for a few reasons. One, the water, unless it's rushing uncontrollably fast, like faster than is normal for here, it won't carry the weight of the rock like it does the soil. Two, as it hits the rock, it has a chance to drop that soil with those nutrients in it. And three, the rock does slow down the water as it breaks over it. So it's kind of a triple win for using the rock that way. So upper left, we're leveling it out. Upper right, we're building that trench and rocking it in. Bottom left is it being done. And the bottom right is that water pooling up behind it and spilling over that berm. And that's another way we slow down the water. That berm has the water build up and then spill over instead of rushing over all at once. It slows the speed a lot. Next we did weirs. So just in the woods from that field, we built these weirs. All they really are is little rock mounds, and we'll put them at the corners of the curving dry runs where all the water runs through. So the water has to build up behind these weirs. So what we do is make a mound of dirt, put down some recyclics. It's a biodegradable material, holds the soil in place, and then we'll put rock over it in a mound. This way the water has to build up behind it again, just like that berm, and spill over slower. Not only that, the rock also gives it another chance to drop more soil and to slow down the water itself. And we'll build these usually at the corners. So if you look at that picture on the far left, you can see how that corner, the water rushing in there, is just eating away the stream bank. And we're trying to prevent that too, because a little bit of erosion goes a long way on those corners. It takes a lot of soil with it every time. Alright, so even further downstream, this is right before it goes into the water. So if you look at that right picture, the very bottom of that is that inlet that goes into the lake. You can see the water rushing through the woods. It exposes all these tree roots. That's how much soil it's taking away, all this debris. And it's depositing all of that into the lake, which is not what we want. It doesn't belong there. So a lot of muscle, I guess, and many wheelbarrow trips, we brought in all that rock. We rocked in the spillway like that. Again, same concept. Rock slows down the water, helps drop all that soil, and hopefully it'll keep much of that soil where it belongs. You can see on the right side of that right picture, there's kind of a separate area where it was exposing those tree roots, and we thought about rocking that in as well, but you have to do some digging for that sometimes, and we thought it would be best not to go back there with the tractor, compact the soil, dig, and it ended up kind of doing a lot more harm. So what we did is we tried to divert the water to the left into the spillway we already made by building a berm. As you can see, it kind of worked. We have a little bit of spillage over, but the water's going slower, so it's taking less, if any, soil with it on the right side where all those tree roots are exposed. We have since built that up a little more. We don't want it to go over there. If a little trickle ends up still going over there, we will probably leave it. You can't always be perfect, but it is doing its job, as you can see. That's a lot of water. That's after, I think, a 4 to 6 inch rain. On the right, you can see the velocity as it goes downstream. It starts to churn, actually. It's almost like a mini rapids. It goes pretty quick. The problem with a lot of these is you can see that when it spills over on that side, I told you it's not perfect, and none of these projects ever are. You altering it to put this project in place actually can change how the water acts, how the land acts. Some of the projects don't end up working. Some of them get washed out, some need reconstruction. They're kind of a constant project, if that makes any sense. Constantly need to modify them. Mother Nature tells you what it wants. She'll wreck it. It can't go there because of this. It made it worse because of that. There's always a reason. So, is this really a project? I thought about this a bit myself. It seems like all we're doing is putting rock places. Well, yes, for my capstone project, that is what we did. Mostly because these were the areas that needed the most help, and these were the solutions that made the most sense for these areas. Otherwise, we would have done a lot more. But rock is very effective for all of the reasons I've listed before. Slows down the water, allows for particles to drop again, and it lets it build up and spill over. Now, which project is best for which area? We did do an effectiveness, I guess, analysis. We talked about pros and cons. You can't always be sure, you can assume. And if it doesn't work, you sometimes have to go back and try again, like we've talked about. And we mentioned that minimal impact on the land. That's why we didn't want to rock in that right side with all the exposed tree roots. We can redirect the water instead of having all this machinery and rock and other stuff put back there. It's for the best. How will this work? Again, will we create more problems by trying to do something? Is what we're doing going to create another problem that we will have to avert with something else? You always have to think ahead. Can't always be right. It is working though, and it's hard to prove that right away. Over 100 years of agricultural abuse, you can't just fix a lake overnight, so people always want to see results, and it doesn't work like that. But I can tell you it's not getting any worse. We were going to provide comparative data from what we collected and what Rod collected, but since this was only a one-year project, there wasn't much I could do for chemical analysis, so such as like phosphorus amounts and things like that, because at different times of the year, the temperature is different, the amount of rain is different. If I tested it right after they spread the fertilizer on the fields and it rained, there'd be a lot more in the water than there would be otherwise, etc. To finish up here, I will mention a few other projects I did that didn't involve rock, just for an idea. So, one is on a hill, there's a boat landing at the bottom. All of the water rushes down on that paved surface and brings in all the leaves and dirt and oil and whatever else people bring their fishing line hooks into the water. What we did was cut out a chunk of the blacktop about 6 inches down, and we put a piece of conveyor belt vertically, up and down. That it sticks up out of the hole in the blacktop about 2 inches over the blacktop. So it's foldable so cars can still drive over it, but as the water runs down the hill, it hits that conveyor belt, goes into that crack, and we divert it to the side into like a rain garden. It's a little garden with plants that will soak up all those excess nutrients before they go into the lake. We're trying to slow down the water, not get it to go directly into the lake. Another solution. There are many other solutions we can do out there to help improve water quality. Just got to do what's right for the area, I guess. Trouble we've had with these projects, navigable waters, you need permission from many different government, local, state. You got to get involved with the DNR for some of them. So make sure you know what you're doing if you want to attempt any of these. Make a few phone calls. And then landowners. We had a lot of cooperation, and that's great. It's really nice that the community cares enough about their waterways to allow you to do something about it. Thank you.